On March 27, San Diego State's East Commons became the Charles B. Bell Pavilion. Charles Bell died in 2010, but his widow and 3 of his kids were there to cut the ribbon. Tanika Green was also there. She was the university's first Charles Bell Scholar and is now an associate vice president at SDSU.
He was a pioneer, a trailblazer. He was someone who contributed to mathematics in strong and creative ways. People might wonder who he is, but now that it's institutionalized and on a building, it gives people the power now to find out who he was and the impact he made on campus.
Charles Bell was born in New Orleans in 1928, and he quickly got started learning and loving mathematics. How quickly? He enrolled in Xavier University, a historically black college, at age 14. He earned his master's degree from Notre Dame by age 19. He didn't get his doctorate until he was 24, but Bell's daughter, Karen Bell Shirley, said his doctorate was delayed by 2 years due to an unexpected conflict.
A man in, I believe it was Germany, had written his thesis on the exact same topic. And because the topics had to be unique, and because this man preceded him by a couple of months, they couldn't give my father his PhD. So he had to go back to the starting board and he had to find another topic that was unique.
Charles Bell was author of 40 academic papers, many of them focused on statistics. His son, C.B. Bell, along with his sister, said their dad was demanding of them as kids.
When I was in high school, he had enrolled me in a summer class in geology at University of New Orleans, and that was from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. And then my sister and I and my best friend took calculus from him from 5 to 8, 6 nights a week, all summer.
Bell's career was constantly on the move. He left SDSU after 6 years to teach at Tulane University and the University of Michigan, just to name 2. He taught math overseas at many institutions, including the University of Madrid and Göttingen University in Germany. He insisted his 4 kids learn the local language wherever they lived, and, as CB put it, he threw them into local schools and expected them to cope. Bell returned to San Diego State in 1981 and retired there 11 years later. CB adds that one ever-present home furnishing, no matter where they lived, was a chalkboard.
So everywhere we lived, I think my mom was the one that went out and procured these chalkboards, and we'd get usually 2 of them, just like in a classroom. And he would have those at home, and sometimes he'd be teaching us stuff, and sometimes he'd be in there just rattling off what just looks like some sort of mad genius formulas.
Charles Bell's career was remarkable, especially due to racial discrimination. He went to Notre Dame University because they wouldn't admit a black graduate student at LSU in the late 40s. Even though Notre Dame admitted him, CB says his father could not live in the dorms because he was black. CB says his father's mathematical thinking allowed him to disregard racism in a way because it made no sense. He says it helped that Charles Bell was always the smartest person in the room.
For him, it was just you do the stuff and then you get the reward. You did the proof, then you have the proof. Then you have it. I mean, you can't decide, well, we don't like it because you're black. That's not even part of the thing. I think that just never entered his mind.
But Karen Bell said despite this, her father was aware of race and taught his children black history lessons using his own books that told the story of black luminaries.
He always told me, he goes, no one will ever teach you this, so I'm going to teach you. You need to know that we came from people who've made a big, huge contributions to this country, to the world. And you need to know that.
The Charles B. Bell Pavilion on a weekday is a plaza filled with students talking on their phones, rolling by on skateboards, and walking to the food court. Brandon Gamble, director of the Black Resource Center at San Diego State, says Charles Bell is part of a tradition.
People can actually come to the campus here at San Diego State and take a Black Excellence tour and learn about Harold Brown, who was an outstanding basketball player, but more importantly, who was the first black administrator here on campus, right? Or hear about Shirley Weber, who is our current Secretary of State, but she was also professor in the Africana Studies Department.
And he says Charles Bell is a big part of that story. Thomas Fudge, KPBS News.